Today I'm going to transform this cheese box that's from the 80s into something beautiful. I bought this cheese box at the thrift store for a little over $2, and you can see it's totally out of the 80s. It has the stenciled painted girl and boy on the front. It did have lace all around the lid where you can see the lighter color of the wood. And then it was also lined in fabric inside. So we're going to take that apart. And on the front there, you can already see I've applied citrus strip with a chip brush, and I've put some saran wrap over it so it's starting to work. So I'm going to scrape off that painting here. So the citrus strip has worked now, and I want to take it off before it dries too much. And so I'm going to scrape off this paint and just scrape it onto this old newspaper here. So I may need to do another coat of the citrus strip, just because I really want to get this almost down to bare wood, and I don't want to use a lot of sandpaper to sand it off. I decided to put on another application of the citrus strip to help remove more of the paint. I apologize for the vertical slide here. This is after I sanded off the paint with 120 grit paper, followed by 220 and then 320 grit paper. The sides still had hot glue residue from where the lace was put around the edges of the lid. I'm using a putty knife to remove the glue. After this, I also used a hot iron placed over a paper towel. I pressed onto the glue spots to help absorb what was remaining on the sides of the lid. So I went ahead and I resanded a little bit of the paint off, and then I used mineral spirits to clean it. And then I applied some Minwax stain to kind of match the old stain. I didn't completely take off the old stain. I just kind of matched around the edge here. And so what I'm going to do now is pick out a stencil that I'd like to use. And I just bought these stencils at Walmart, but I think I'm going to use this one here. So let's get started. The first thing I did was measure horizontally and vertically to find the direct center. And then I'm going to find the center of the stencil that I'm going to use, which is this one here. And I'm going to put that center of that stencil right on the mark that I had marked earlier. So to prepare the stencil, I have taped down with painter's tape, and that is just to keep the stencil secure so it doesn't lift up and the paint doesn't get up underneath the stencil as I'm painting. If you don't have painter's tape, you can also use this stencil adhesive. It can be bought at any craft store. And it is applied on the back of the stencil, and it creates like a stickiness, kind of like tape. And then you can pick it up and reuse it. It just stays on that, and then it washes off with soap and water. This is also the same idea in a spray. Let's get started. So I have my stencil brush here, and I'm just going to dip it in my paint. And you don't need very much because you're really just doing many light coats. And I just have here a piece of cardboard that was from a honey bun box. You can use a paper plate or whatever, anything that you were gonna, cardboard or paper that you're gonna throw away. And so you're just dabbing that excess paint off because you don't want too much paint on your brush. And then you're just going to use a pouncing motion This is just a latex paint that I've used, and I try to work the paint all around. You don't want to just keep on one single shape. That way you're distributing the paint more evenly. So we're gonna lift this and see what it looks like. If it's not dark enough, you can always go over it again. So I think I like that, so I'm gonna lift and then I'm gonna replace and line up for the next section. So I already finished this section here. I've waited a few minutes till the paint has dried, so when I lay the stencil back down over what I just painted, it's not smearing it. And then I've reapplied the tape again, moved it and reapplied it. I had to add some up at the top there. And now I lined up the bottom, where the bottom paint was, to the top. And now I'm just going to work on this stencil again. So dipping it in the paint and taking the cardboard again and just kind of dabbing. Let me show you the end of the stencil brush. Here is the finished product. Remember to like and subscribe to my videos. Thank you.